I need you to knock some sense into me. I'm sure you can.
Yeah, I don't know. I enjoy listening to you. I don't always agree with everything.
All right. Enough of this persiflage.
So, you want my question?
I'm certainly not going to get myself in trouble by telling you what to do.
That makes great sense. Gosh, that's good.
Did I overwhelm you with words and wisdom?
I've got 7 kids. I feel like I could call you every day.
Wait, you're telling me I'm wrong?
Yes, I am, Dr. Ray.
You just need to tune in to Dr. Ray, honey. He's got all the answers.
Am I right or am I right?
Probably.
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Thank you so much. Very much appreciate the opportunity to be here. And I would like to thank each and every one of you individually. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. No, it's going to take me too long to get through 167 of my listeners. This is Look Back Friday. This call's up there right now. I didn't thank Eric Dumont. That's right. Eric's running the boards today. He is also the one flipping the switches and the lights, and they're flashing and the beeping and all of that stuff that's gone on over there in Ann Arbor. However, we're going to get to these past phone calls, which were edited at the capable hands of Andrew Kruchek, producer man. Put them back up, because there's much more I want to say about him. Now, obviously, this is not therapy. So these calls that somebody comes in, I cannot do therapy. There were so many directions I would want to go with these calls. But you just can offer a thought or a two, maybe a piece of education. That's really what that's all about. Look Back Friday is a chance to offer another thought or two or another piece of education or a clarifying remark. So that's what they're chosen for. We'll get to those in a second. I have had 5 boys and 5 estrogen Americans. And boys are simpler creatures. My experience, now again, that's a generalization, but they are simpler creatures. The world is their bathroom. Starts out that way, right? Dad, I got to go to the bathroom. Dad. All right, see that woods over there? See that oak tree? Oh, come on, don't be grossed out. Don't email me and say, Dr. Ray, we're eating lunch and you're talking like this. Come on, if you have boys, you know I'm talking truth. But that kind of simplicity transfers to adult malehood. I mean, there are just certain advantages to being a guy that come naturally. Example. Phone conversations are over in 30 seconds flat. I coached our softball team for many, many years. And back before we could send out group texts or any of that stuff, we had to call guys. So I'd call. Ronnie, practice. Mason, Tuesday, 5. See ya. No verbs. No prepositional phrases. No independent clauses strung together with and but. Nope. Just nouns. Nouns, maybe a couple of adjectives thrown in. A 5-day vacation, if you're a guy, is really only one suitcase. You know, sometimes my wife and I will go somewhere together if I got to speak there and she wants to come and I want her to come and we both agree. No, actually I love her to come, but sometimes she can't. So she can pack and I can pack and I can pretty much pack and carry on, and my dear wife has more than a carry-on. So 5-day vacation for a guy is really only one suitcase. And I've noticed I can open all my own jars. Yeah, I'm very valuable around the house. She asked me to open jars and kill spiders and kill insects. But I can open all my own jars. Another thing, too, if you're a guy, you can leave the motel bed unmade. That's right. And I noticed this back when we got married. The wedding plans just seemed to take care of themselves. All I know is that Randy and her mom and my mom, well, they had it all set up. I remember I did my part. I took the invitations to the mailbox. I did. Yeah, pretty much. What else? Well, if you're a guy, you can quietly enjoy a car ride from the passenger seat. Don't say anything. It's just like, let me sit there. Yeah. And I've noticed this, 3 pairs of shoes are more than enough. I do. I have a dress pair, I have a knock-around pair, and I have my whatever it is that, the casual pair that you wear all the time. And I used to have a pair of cleats. I retired from softball for the first time in my 50 years last year. And I used to have a high-top basketball shoes. I don't have either of those anymore. So I'm down to 3 pairs of shoes. It's enough. It's good enough. Oh, I got 1 pair of mowing shoes. Okay. What else? Well, I've noticed that I can quietly watch a football game with a buddy, neither one of us saying a word, from the beginning all the way to halftime. And neither one of us is thinking, I wonder if he's mad at me. Wedding dress for a woman, $2,000 plus. Tuxedo rental, $150. I can drop by to see a friend, unannounced, and I don't have to bring a little gift. If another guy shows up at a party in the exact same suit, wow, a nice suit. We could become lifelong friends. I don't have to leave. And never once has any of my buddies ever said to me, so Ray, notice anything different about me? That's right. And I've never said to them, oh, cute top. I am not expected to know the names of more than 5 colors. I don't know ecru, I don't know eggshell white, I don't know linen white, I don't know barnyard white, I don't know off-white. I don't know this. I can listen to my wife and daughters talk about what color to paint the bathroom, and I don't recognize any of those colors. I need a translator. I just go, oh, no, I think red's okay. Blue? Maybe white. Yellow? Pretty much. And here's another thing. I never have to stop and think which way to turn a nut on a bolt. My wife will say that. Which way do I turn this, Ray? Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. I am wonderfully unable to see wrinkles in my clothes. My daughters, my wife, Dad, did you see your shirt? When did you last wash that, Dad? Oh, it doesn't stink, does it? No, but Mom, come here, look at Dad's shirt. I didn't see the wrinkles. And I have pretty much had the same hairstyle for 40 years. Yeah, I don't get my hair frosted, or I don't have to go in there and say, cut it this way, or I want some bangs this way. No, pretty much same hairstyle, One wallet, 1 pair of shoes, 1 color, all seasons. Pretty much. Now, my daughters pay $40, $50, $60 to have their nails done. I do my nails with a pocket knife. And one last thing. I Christmas shop for 25 relatives on December 24th in 45 minutes. Just some of the advantages of being a guy. Thanks to whoever sent that to me. Appreciate you so much. All righty, when we come back, we're going to go to a mouthy young adult. Ooh, why is there so much mouth among so many kids nowadays? There's a lot of that. Even in the time I grew up, I didn't see anywhere near that much mouthy disrespect from kids. I think there's a lot of reasons for that, and maybe that's one of the reasons why I took Carl's call from Michigan as a look-back call after the break.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Ray Grandy, host of The Doctor Is In, Ave Maria Radio for 20 years. I've been with them, and during that time, I've watched them spread our precious faith to anyone, anywhere. Well, also in that time, their equipment, the equipment that they had is cutting edge, no longer is cutting edge. It's kind of like an iPhone 5. We need your help. We absolutely need your help. Visit AveMariaRadio.net. You're not just donating, you're broadcasting hope.
This week on Christ is the Answer, Father John talks about the moral life. It's no secret that the world we live in challenges us in our beliefs every day. The culture paints God as a rule-mandating enemy, and not as our loving Father. God knows what's best for us, and has given us the freedom to choose. And one of those choices is whether or not to live a moral life. Join us this week as Father John shows us what the moral life looks like and how to live it out. Tune in for Christ is the Answer, Monday through Fridays at 11 a.m. on Ave Maria Radio.
This program brought to you in part by Ave Maria, Florida, a big kind of small town where golf carts take you everywhere and there's always something fun around the corner. Discover championship golf, resort-style amenities, and a town center full of shopping and dining. With Ave Maria University and Ave Maria Catholic Church at its heart, it's a community full of connection and charm. More than 25 model homes are available for viewing. More information can be found at AveMaria.com. That's AveMaria.com.
Can't do the Springer Guarantee anymore. When the show began, Jerry Springer was at its apex of popularity, and I had the Springer Guarantee that listening to approximately 27 minutes spread out over any 1 month. The show is so potent, we could guarantee that your kid, or your grandkid even, or even perhaps your second cousin's once-removed kid, would not be on Jerry Springer. Well, there's no more Jerry Springer, and Jerry Springer has passed away. So the Springer Guarantee is defunct. But I do have some guarantees that we're working on, and we will get to those. One guarantee is that you will be complimented on your children's behavior at a restaurant at least one of every 4 times you're in there. Somebody will come over. I just want to say how much I admire your children and their manners and their behavior. You must be wonderful parents. We're getting very close to guaranteeing that. It used to be 1 in every 6 visits, down to 1 in every 4 now. So Carl from Michigan called some time back about what he described as a mouthy 18-year-old daughter. What's this 18-year-old daughter here? What is she, a senior in high school?
She's in first year of community college right now.
She's living at home?
What? She just finished this year, I guess. She what?
Is she living at home? She is at home.
Yes.
Yeah. And she's not talking to you?
Right. She's smart. I mean, she's got, great grades and everything, but she uses it really to her advantage. I mean, she argues like a lawyer. If I disagree with someone, my goal is to search for the truth in the situation. But I can tell that she just wants to win the argument. So she throws up all kinds of, straw man arguments and things like that. And, she's just really like that. She's bossy. And, we've been, I've caught her. I think been telling like little white lies for quite a while. And I say, you're lying. You're not telling the truth.
Wait a minute, Carl, I'm confused. You said she doesn't talk to you.
Well, this is what happened. This is the background.
Mm.
She just started this not talking the last 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
And she said, we're done. We're done.
Oh, we are, aren't we?
We're done.
What do you mean? So that means there's no food coming from you guys? That means there's no shelter? That means there's no paying for college? Is that what that means?
That's what I'd like to know. She starts cooking on her own. I mean, she does eat meals with us sometimes, but she's buying food and putting it in the refrigerator and cooking it for herself.
Carl, does your wife agree with you on what to do about this?
Totally. Yeah. Well, we're both beside ourselves. Ourselves.
So wait a minute. Let me set the stage here. You got an 18-year-old daughter who doesn't like the way you do things. She doesn't like your rules. She doesn't like your limits. She doesn't like your structure, your expectations. And her attitude is, I'm sick of you people. So rather than argue with you, which you should have never argued with her, you should have just said what you were going to say and then followed through. But you've been arguing with her, trying to reason with her, and you saw how well that got you. Mm-hmm. So finally she said, enough. We're done. I'm done with you people. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now
that's, at 18, she's welcome to say that. Of course, would there be conditions to that? In other words, I don't know who pays for her car, who pays for her insurance. I don't know who gives her the food that she cooks. I don't know who lets her wash her clothes in your washing machine. I don't know who pays that electric bill. I don't know who pays her college tuition. Do you know, Carl, who does those things?
I told her, I said, if you're going to be like this, then you got to start paying up. So I told her, well, for the last 2 months, it's going to be $150 a month, but that's only for car insurance and phone bill. And so she paid me the $300, but that's really not a lot compared to, everything that she's, enjoying here. So,
well, it's not.
Right. But the thing is that she is so, even if she could pay me more money, I don't want her walking right past me. My birthday was the 28th. She didn't say happy birthday to me. And she's destroying the picture because the others who see this...
Carl, I can't tell you what to do. Now, see, you're describing what she's doing, but that's not relevant to us. What you're going to do is most relevant. So if she's saying, I'm so disenchanted living here with you people that I'm going to ignore you, you don't exist.
Right.
You have to decide what to do about it. Now, you've said, I'm going to charge her $150 a month. Okay, that's fine. You can do that if you want as a parent. It's not very much. Or you can say, you cannot act like that in this house. You find a place to live in the next month. You can say, I'm not telling you to do that, but you can say that.
Okay, yeah. So that the thing is that I'm just wondering, is it, is that okay? Am I going to be...
Hold on a second.
Right?
See?
That's what I want to do.
See what you just did? You see what you just did? When I said, you can say that because you're dad, then you said, but is that okay? Carl, okay according to who? Whom, sorry.
I just want to be, let's say, prudent or cautious before I do that. Think it through well. You know what I mean?
Okay, then here's seems to me your options. You can allow her to live there and hope she softens. You can do that. You can say, well, in my opinion, if she's going to be rude like this and totally argue with us all the time and then shut us off, a small price to pay is $150 a month, and I can live with her rudeness. Okay, you can do that. Or you can say no. Now, are there younger kids in the house, by the way?
Yes, and they're being influenced by her.
Exactly.
She talks to them, not us.
Exactly. They're looking at their older sister saying, well, apparently it's okay to treat mom and dad that way. I guess. Mom and dad aren't doing anything about it. So the question then becomes, what do you want to do about it? Now, if I tell her, you can't act this way or you'll be independent, what will happen to her? What will she do? Where will she go? What is that opening the door to? Yes, those are all possibilities. Mm-hmm. But as a parent, you make a decision. You say, no, we're not going to live like this. Mm-hmm. I don't want this being a model for the two younger ones, and certainly is total ingratitude for what we're doing. So therefore, here's what we have decided to do. And if you do it, know that you can't really predict what she's going to do. Oh, boy, so many levels on this. First of all, did you notice how Carl initially described her? She's smart. She gets great grades. This is a variant of, overall, she's a really pretty good kid. I don't know why parents so often feel compelled to say that before they go into all the problems that are going on. It's almost as though they feel like they have to be compelled to say, I don't want to give you the wrong impression of my daughter because she's got good qualities. I know that. But yet it truly, people come into my office and they got a litany of trouble with this kid 9 miles long, and then they say, I'm giving you the wrong impression. Overall, he's a pretty good kid. I go, how is that? Given what you said. We've really kind of watered down the relationship of what is really a good kid. He's not on drugs. So, not in trouble with the law. Then he said, she argues like a trial lawyer. Well, why is he arguing with her? Because apparently she's arguing because she wants to do what she wants. The parents don't want her to do that. And she's making her case and she's arguing. And no matter how the parents try to reason with her, she doesn't agree and she just argues harder. But at some point, you got to decide to quit arguing. But then she dropped the nuclear warhead. We're done. Wait a minute. Excuse me? Is she saying that I don't need you anymore? Is that what she's saying? I don't think it is. I think what she's saying is, I'm going to mistreat you by ignoring you, is what she's saying. Because she's taken advantage of everything else her parents are offering, materially anyway. Complicating the picture, and Carl didn't get into this with too much detail, she's not only influencing indirectly her younger siblings because they're watching this and they're calculating and they're thinking, wow, I guess this is what happens when you turn 18, huh? You can live here and treat mom and dad any way you want, and they'll take it. But it sounded like he was about to say, and I didn't chase it, she's influencing them directly. She's poisoning them toward mom and dad. How unreasonable mom and dad are, how difficult they are, how unfair they are, how demanding they are, whatever it is. She's convincing the little ones. Oh, man, I don't know about you, but you do that in my house, and you attempt to pollute my younger kid's image of me, you have forfeited your right to live here. Now, does that mean that relationship is going to be irreparably damaged? No, of course not. No. But in the short term, it's going to mean you can't do this. Now, Carl said something I hear so very much as a shrink. Is that okay? Am I allowed to do that? Or, as he said, well, would that be the prudent thing to do? And as I said, you can't predict. You're making a decision on the basis of what's going on right now. You can't know where she's going to choose to live. You can't know if she drops out of college what kind of small-time job she can find. You don't know any of this. What you do know is that she's disrupting the household. She's being incredibly nasty in essentially saying you people are worthless and you're not worth my time or my effort or even a few words from me, like happy birthday, Dad. The guy's paying for her college. They're putting up money for everything. Call it the shrink in me. But if Carl and his wife walked into my office, there's no doubt in my mind this has been building. That this kid has fought for what she thinks she should have as freedoms and perks for a long time now. I got to talk more about this. We'll get to some more of it. I want to look back on the look back because this is such a common thing. Okie dokie. I don't know, call it something in my spine bristle. No, it's not cirrhosis. You have cirrhosis of the spine, Eric. I bristle at parents being mistreated, and especially if the parents are reasonable people. And most of the people who call this program, and most of the people who even walk in my office, are reasonable people. If they've done anything wrong, they've kind of spoiled the kid, and they're being now mistreated by this late teen, young adult individual who is ungrateful and bratty and obnoxious. And Carl's daughter, who has basically decided they're not worthy to be talked to for the last 3 weeks because she's had it with them. They pay for everything, pay for her college, they pay for everything. So 2 months ago, they backdated her rent of $150 a month, which is absolutely nothing. It's a token. But it didn't change her conduct at all. And furthermore, she's dramatically, badly influencing the younger ones. Now, Carl has every option to say, sit her down, and to say, here is our terms for you living here. You will be cooperative. You will be respectful. And we will judge what that is. You will no longer ignore people, and you will not try to influence the younger kids against us. If any of that happens, you will make arrangements to live elsewhere. And to ensure that happens, we will cut off all funds. Now, one might say, that's just awful, Dr. A. That's a nuclear warhead. You notice I didn't advise Carl to do that. He's somebody that he can do that. He has every right to do that. That's an option. But most parents, as I've said ad infinitum, to use a little Latin lingo, on this program, are afraid to do that. They're just so afraid of what's going to happen to the kid. And what will happen to the relationship? And will the kid hate them until the day they die? That doesn't happen. What more commonly happens is that the relationship gets uglier and uglier as the child is permitted to live in the home on their own emotional terms. And they're on their own cooperative terms. It gets uglier. It just gets worse. Carl said, did you notice he said kind of in passing? He said, my wife is with me on this and we're both at our wits' end. Yeah, they're basically saying, I can't control this kid. This kid is living in our home being obnoxious, major league obnoxious. At least if I can trust what Carl's saying. Don't have any reason to doubt it. And influencing the younger kids, and we're allowing it. We're allowing it. I don't know what it is about this young lady's view of her parents that would make her so hostile toward them. Now, one could say, well, Dr. Ray, you don't know them. They might be really nasty people. I acknowledge that. My experience has been that more often than not, these are not nasty people. If they do get nasty, it's because they're frustrated with the way the child is acting. They're supporting her completely. Did you notice he said kind of in passing, the $150 a month is for the phone and the car. In other words, they're paying for the phone and the car. Or they've been. They have enormous leverage. They could say that the rent goes to $500 a month because you're just not cooperative. My son lived at home until he was 26, until he got married. Very pleasant, very cooperative young man. Never gave us any trouble. On the other hand, I had another son that I had to ask to leave at age 19. Now, right now, we have a wonderful relationship. Perfectly wonderful. But at that time, he was being uncooperative. I love you. Pray for you. But you can't live here and act like that. Okay. You're not 15 where I can discipline you anymore. You're 19. By the law, You are an adult. So I suspect, I would very much love to know where it's at right now with Carl. That call was some months ago. I don't know where it is. Maybe if Carl's listening, he can give a call on next week and let us know where that is. Did the daughter decide, okay, wait a minute, I'm really mistreating mom and dad? Every once in a while, a young adult does do that. They say, "Really, I've really been obnoxious. I've been unfair. I've been mean. I've been resentful." Every once in a while, I say about 2 in 100. But much more often than not, the trajectory. There was nothing to indicate in what Carl said that the daughter had any inkling that perhaps, no matter how difficult she thinks her parents are because of their expectations, that she too could make some changes. I don't suspect, when you have somebody who won't talk to you for 3 weeks, I don't suspect that they're questioning the way they're acting. I think they feel perfectly justified to act that way. What amazes me is how many parents take that kind of treatment. They do. They absorb it. Like punch-drunk fighters. They're getting hit and hit and hit and hit and hit, and they take it. If that were helpful, if one could say, well, as long as Carl perseveres and allows that kind of treatment, his daughter's going to grow up, and he won't sever the relationship, she won't sever the relationship, and by 2 years from now it'll be all better. If that were the case, if that were the likelihood, one could make the case that, in fact, okay, just absorb the punches and eventually she'll grow up. Well, I've been doing this for 40-plus years. Yes, I graduated when I was in 8th grade. And I'll tell you, I don't see it going that way regularly. It goes the other way. As long as one is allowed to mistreat his or her parents and feels justified in doing so, there's not much of a course correction made. I don't know. I would really like to know what Carl and his wife had decided to do in this situation. I wrote a book called Taught by 10, What a Psychologist's Father Learned from His Children. And in the book, one of the chapters was, I always wondered if I could have one of my children find other accommodations before they're ready because of their conduct. I didn't know if I could. And then when it happened, I found that I could, because I believed that was helping them, not hurting them. It is helping them to realize you can't continue to do this. You need to look at yourself and the conditions that you set up. I did. It's like excommunication. It's designed to bring about reconciliation.
The doctor will see you now.
Let's go to another call here on Look Back Friday on The Doctor Is In. I wrote a book, dealt with this issue. I believe it was the teen book, either Standing Strong or I think that was the book. Laura from Indiana has a question.
So we have 6 kids, ages 2 to 11 right now. So last year and the year before, when the 2-year-old was 1, and then the year before when the 2-year-old was a baby, we did Little League for the older kids, and it was such a sink on my summer. You know, my husband isn't home until 6:30, and so a lot of these games and practices, I was wrangling a bunch of kids and keeping babies and toddlers from falling off the bleachers, and you know, it's like months of your summer, and I was not enjoying it, and I just didn't really feel like it was really worth the sacrifice, because the kids, you know, they like playing baseball. They love playing baseball. They'll play it anytime. And so I'm like, you can play baseball anytime. And So this year we just decided we were going to enjoy life. And my husband's going to work. He's a professor and he teaches summer school. So he'll teach summer school in June. But then July, we're just going to travel and we're going to relax and we're going to get together.
Laura, you are denying your kids' experiences. Do you realize that?
I know.
How will they be well-rounded human beings if they don't play ball 5 nights a week?
If they're not in 10,000 activities and I'm not giving myself ulcers trying to get them, well, then what am I supposed to do? So
Laura, first of all,
I wanted to know if there was evidence.
There's people staring at you, Laura, while you're there grappling with all those kids thinking, well, if you didn't have so many children, you wouldn't be all frustrated like this. Yeah, evidence? I'm not sure of evidence. I can give you common sense. We have become a go, get, do society. And we believe that these, quote-unquote, all these various extracurricular experiences are so good for the child's well-being. But something has to suffer, and it's family time. In one of my books, I called it Pursuing the Good at the Cost of the Best. The best is really time with your mom and your dad. Now, I love sports. I truly do. I played sports all my life. And I enjoyed my kids being in sports. However, you have 6, we had 10. Ain't no way in any summer, every one of them was going to get even one activity. That'd be nuts. So what we did is we basically parceled them out. Yeah, if 3 of you can have an activity, let's see what it is. Okay? When I wrote the book Back to the Family, one of the mothers said she got so tired of this that she took her 2 boys and she said, okay, you guys, each of you is going to take a bath. And then you're going to decide what activity you want to do, and the other one's got to go. So, do I think it's wonderful that you have decided to limit this stuff? I do. I really do. Especially Sunday morning soccer when half the families don't go to Mass. So, so given that, yeah, you're not shortchanging your kids in any way. If you want to do it, do it. I'm not, all the people who are doing it, I'm not telling you, don't do it. It's bad for your kids. I'm not saying that. But I am saying, if you say to yourself, this is not what we want to pursue, it's too much, then you have every right to do that. And for my money, it's probably better to not overdo it.
Yeah, I mean, and they're perfectly content to play at home. I mean, yeah, they bicker. Don't get me wrong. There's plenty of bickering. But, you know, they make up games and they're playing outside, and they're not like they're just deprived of all goodness, you know? So, I don't know. It's just that feeling of
Laura,
second guessing.
Laura, that's exactly what I was going to say. Did you hear what you said? You said, it's not like they're deprived of all goodness. The fact that you even have to think that tells me that somehow it's gotten into your head that you could be shortchanging your kid without realizing it if you don't allow them to pursue this. Instead of saying, yeah, well, if they're not in adult orchestrated activities, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to do exactly what you said they're going to do. They're going to make up games. They're going to play. Man, I can't tell you how many made-up games I did when I was a kid. If we only had 2 guys in the neighborhood, we'd find a way to play ball with 2 guys. You'd make it up. Invisible men. Can't hit right field. Pitch is first baseman. You just did all kinds of things like that. So I think, personally, if you pick a couple, say, okay, this is our summer for this. Here's the other thing we did. We did not get into any leagues that took up 5 nights a week. No chance. No chance. We got in a little church league that played twice a week, and it was done in mid-July. So we did.
Yeah, that would be great.
And you realize the odds? You realize the odds of your kid basically becoming a professional athlete? Kind of like being struck by lightning. They asked 8th graders, which would you rather be, a scholar or an athlete? Overwhelmingly, they said athlete. Then they asked the kids who played sports, what do you think your chances are of becoming a professional at these sports, whatever the sport was? Oh gosh, it was, 20, 30%. And in fact, it's like 0.00001 being a professional. A lot of my friends now have raised their children. And they have run the gauntlet of activities. Every night of the summer, they're somewhere, someplace. Sometimes mom and dad can't be together because you've got to split up on the activity. And now that their kids are adults, young adults, all those activities are gone. They're gone. They're meaningless. My son ran track in high school, and he was very, very good. He could have run Division I track. He came to me and he said, Dad, if I do that, they will own me. He said, we will practice every night of the week. I will run constantly. It will just simply crowd out so many other things. And I said, Petey, I'm with you. That's okay. Your track career is over. And that's okay. There's this feeling of I am somehow shortchanging my children if I don't allow them. Now, for example, maybe music lessons. What if you do music lessons? Okay, that's not something that necessarily requires the parent to take so much time off to travel around with the child. Music lessons are something the child can practice. It's a skill. I took organ for 4 years, and I remember arguing with my dad. I wanted to play football, and Pop said, you're going to have to practice. And I said, oh, Dad, come on. I'm not going to be a professional or anything. I turned 18, started playing professionally, played professionally for 9 years, put myself through college, made enough money to have a savings account when I graduated with no loans. All because the music lessons turned out. But given that, these activities that the children say they want, all too often, by 2 months into it, they don't want it anymore. And then a parent has to decide, okay, how much do we continue this and make sure they keep up their commitment, or how much do we just simply let it go and avoid the friction? That's the parent's decision. All that said, parents get pulled into social norms. The social norms are, these are all things that are orchestrated for kids by adults. Sometimes the worst, believe it or not, are school activities. You're going to play a school-guided sport, that's it. You're now going to be 6 days a week involved in that sport. If you love it, you think it's great, okay. But sometimes it can just overload. And I know when I coached softball, a lot of the guys that I coached had played a heavy amount of baseball growing up, and they were burnt out. They just flat out were burned out. They just did not want to put that much effort into a recreation anymore. So those are all things to consider. But the one thing you know is you're not shortchanging your kid.
You're so funny. I'm telling you, you crack me up.
Today's programming on 990 WDEO is brought to you in part by a gift from our day sponsor, Steve and Mary Wozniak, who are celebrating their 26th wedding anniversary. We give all glory, honor, and thanks to God for His unwavering grace and faithfulness throughout the years. We hope that others in the listening area will join us in sponsoring too, so together we can grow in love for our church and Catholic faith. Here's to more blessings, growth, and purpose in the years to come. To God be the glory.
Do you own popular index mutual funds or ETFs? If so, you're automatically own shares of companies that conflict with your moral beliefs. Ave Maria mutual funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors can invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. The experienced professional portfolio managers make decisions based on investment fundamentals and pro-life values. You can learn more about Ave Maria mutual funds today at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Hi, everybody. Dr. Ray Graney, host of The Doctor Is In. Ave Maria Radio has been putting out fabulous Catholic teaching, but the equipment we've got is aged. Like me, needs a lot of help. Some of the stuff is just hard to replace anymore. If you go to AveMariaRadio.net, please, for a donation for the equipment to reach much farther. You're not just donating, you're broadcasting hope.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Are you paying high prices with a traditional health insurance company that pays for things that violate your conscience? There's an alternative available. Solidarity HealthShare is a community of faithful individuals and families that never share into immoral medical services, all while saving you money with prices starting as low as $85 per month for singles and $512 for families. Never fund another abortion with your healthcare dollars. Call 844-313-4999 to learn more.
Closing up segment, Living Right with Dr. Ray. Look back Friday, nothing more to look back on because looking at the clock, looking ahead on, I don't really have much time to take another past question and then comment on it with any kind of alacrity or acumen. No, acumen is not a spice. That's curcumin. Alrighty, let's do what I usually do. I want to take something from C.S. Lewis. He said this: the answer of theologians is that the God-man was omniscient as God and ignorant as man. Not ignorant meaning moronic, ignorant meaning unknowing about many things. He says this, no doubt, is true, though it cannot be imagined. The point he's making is how do you put those two together? Fully human, fully God. I can't get my head to make sense of that. He says also cannot be imagined is the unconsciousness of Christ in sleep, or the twilight of his reason in infancy. Keep in mind, the God-man was once a year and a half old. Still less can it be imagined his merely organic life in his mother's womb. But then he says something that I have wrestled with so much, and it helps me to accept all that I can't understand about our faith. But the physical sciences, no less than theology, propose for our belief much that cannot be imagined. As I look at everything around me and I see that they're all composed of countless infinite numbers of atoms and subatomic particles, all in incredibly fast motion, I can't imagine any of that. I can't see that. It's so counter to my senses. And where he says our Lord's life in his mother's womb, you realize at some point the God-man was a clump of cells. And I think I've used that as an apology, meaning a defense, for my Protestant friends who can't fathom that the Eucharist itself is Jesus. Holy. They say, how can you think that? And I will simply ask them, then how can you think that the God of the universe at one time was 3 cells in the Virgin Mary? If you looked at those cells under a microscope, you would see 3 cells. You would not say, oh, that's what God looks like. I always wondered what God looks like. He looks like cells. No, you acknowledge that those cells are God. So then why do you struggle with the Catholic belief that our Lord left us this miracle when properly consecrated is Him. Well, are you saying that that little 1-inch long human in Mary's womb was not God? He didn't become God until he was born, but even after that he couldn't speak. He was a baby. He was helpless. How is this? As Lewis says, the physical science, no less than theology, proposes for our belief much that cannot be imagined. And that makes total sense to me, because God in His infinity has to be well beyond anything I could even remotely grasp, or He wouldn't be God. Thank you so much for joining me here on The Doctor Is In. I appreciate your company very, very much. Eric Dumont, thank you. And walk with this God, and you'll find out a lot more eventually.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook and Instagram. The Doctor Is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.